So I first found out about Tsudio Studio in 2018, and that was on the first Neo Gaia Fantasy Tour. We played this incredible show in Kobe, which is his hometown, at this amazing little club called Otahatoba, which has since become like one of our favorite places to play in the world. And Kevin, Equip, was already like a huge fan, and he was getting me super, super pumped to see him. And I'll never forget that set. He just stood there with this Fender Jaguar around his neck, and there was a mic stand with a tablet on it and this little MIDI controller in front of him. And then all of a sudden just outpoured this most sublime, blissful, nostalgic music that I'd ever heard. And I have like very particular taste when it comes to like music and chord progression and harmonic movements and things like that. And he was just like checking all the boxes one after the other. It was just so emotive and sentimental, and it was these things, you know, despite his use of this vocoder, which was really just adding this richness and this depth to the sound of his voice. It was like this beautiful synthetic memory from a vacation that I had never gone on, basically.
Do you like Japanese city pop? Feel-good flutes sprinkled throughout an entire song, Vaportrap percussion, clever harmonies, and just overall sun-glazed, breezy production? You know what I'm talking about, those songs that throw you right into a field of flowers on a beautiful sunny day, even though you're currently stuck listening to it on your horrible, boring commute to work. Well, today, I want to tell you about a singer and songwriter from Japan that will blow your mind, and pretty much has concocted a formula inviting all of these different attributes into his music at the same damn time. I want you to say hello to a fella who goes by the name of Tsudio Studio. You may have not heard of him yet, but I can promise you this is the dude to look out for right now. And today I want to not only share his story and why his music is just so catchy, but we will also be hearing from James Webster of Death's Dynamic Shroud, who will be joining me in this video, sharing his experiences touring with Tsudio Studio in Japan, as well as his thoughts on why he also loves his music as well. Also, we are going to be taking a look at some of his recent beautiful releases and physicals, so make sure you stick around throughout this entire video, because we really do have a ton of cool stuff to take a look at here. So my friend, I want you to get cozy and let's take a look at why Tsudio Studio will be your new favorite artist. Really quick before we continue, please throw a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Both really go a long way, obviously, in helping the channel grow, and I cannot wait to have you for the next video. And you know me, I'm always looking for new music to listen to and showcase on this channel, so if there's anything you've been listening to recently and think deserves some spotlight, please let myself and others know in the comments below. I am always interested in learning what else is out there in this beautiful world we call music. A truck maker living in Kobe, Japan, Tsudio Studio loves music that isn't biased to a particular genre, and this mindset definitely bleeds into the music he makes as, like I said in the beginning of this video, he brings a bunch of different styles and spices to the cutting board when cranking out music, throwing them all together, and it all seems to wonderfully work out every time. Inspired by all things from Prince to Radiohead, Tsudio Studio released an album called Port Island in 2018 on a leading Japanese pop music label known as Local Visions, and the album did pretty damn good, selling out on various formats, 3 different color cassettes in 2018, and a record also in 2019, which you are seeing right now in this video, and we will be getting to this beaut later, so just wait for that. This album, Port Island, represents a fictional city, a city Tsudio Studio uses as a setting to represent tragic events of Japan's past, a city that, if it did not encounter these tragedies, may look completely different today. In 1995, Japan experienced a Great Depression, and Tsudio Studio's hometown was devastated by a massive earthquake. His parents told him that without the recession or earthquake, his hometown would have been much more beautiful and developed today. He was so inspired by these words of his parents, their stories and visions that were placed into his head about what his town may have looked like. And Port Island is meant to represent all of that and bring to life the dreamy scenery that never saw the light of day. He told me he tried to make a fictional city plan with his music. Tsudio Studio passed these concepts onto Taiwanese illustrator Saitamis, whose name I'm definitely pronouncing wrong, very sorry. But Saitamis totally understood the concept perfectly for Port Island, as Tsudio Studio tells me, and created the beautiful artwork that attracted so many listeners for this album. And yeah, I was one of those listeners. I think a couple months ago, I saw Tech Honors of of Death's Dynamic Shroud retweet some of his music, and just by looking at this artwork, I knew I had to check this thing out. Those pastel colors popping out on nothing but a black background is absolutely drawing. Port Island was done entirely by Tsudio Studio himself. From production, recording, mixing, mastering, every single thing was done by himself. This album is his attempt to combine the latest beat music in Japan with the mellow pop of the 80s. He also told me there is influence from vaporwave and future funk, stating, "For these artists, sampling is the primary method. However, I tried to make music influenced by these without sampling." So for any Citypop and future funk fans out there looking for something new and refreshing, Port Island is the money move for you. In December 2019, he completed and released Soda Resort Journey on CD. This album is about traveling around the world on a fictional airline, beautiful seas, lovers, exotic cocktails, hotel decor, exciting back alleys, loud foreign languages. You get the deal. The album was influenced by a bunch of different acts, including Haruomi Hosono's Omni Sightseeing, Chris Ree's On the Beach, Mano Fontana's Cerulo, and James Blake's first album.
So I was able to talk to him after the show, and we've since sort of become friends, which has been great. It turns out like we're the same age. We had a very similar sort of musical trajectory. Like we both got into Radiohead's Kid A when we were in high school, and that sort of set the course of our lives musically.
He also loves to mention the efforts of a group of his friends known as Light Mellow Boo. They once searched through a very small Citypop section in a huge used CD market and shared the results of their findings on the internet, calling the project Obscure Citypop CDs 1986 to 2006. Tsudio Studio was so excited by the unknown labels and artists found that he was greatly influenced by those styles and sounds they created, all playing a huge part in his song development and structure for Soda Resort Journey. So these past couple of months, I have been listening to a ton of Tsudio Studio. These two albums have really provided me with some excellent listening experience because they kind of just hit everything I searched for when listening to music. It's salty, sweet, spicy, everything. I'm getting hit with so many different styles and flavors of genres and production that I'm so attracted to everything this dude has to offer. He's just giving me everything all at once, all the time. The dude was kind enough to send me some of his physicals all the way from Japan, and let me tell you, these are some of the coolest packages I've ever received for a piece of music. We got so many things to look at here. First up, let's take a look at Port Island, and let me tell you, it's one thing to see this album online digitally, but owning the vinyl is an absolute treat and a half. Besides the thing, sounding great, it really does look great. We have it on a standard black vinyl, which is totally cool, but I think it would have been really mesmerizing to see it in, something really colorful, and hopefully we can get a second pressing of that thing to come out in something wacky and crazy, which it would match the energy and mystique of what is really going on in the artwork. He also threw in a couple high-res stickers for me, which I ended up throwing on the case for my RX2, so, whenever I go play a live show now, I can walk into the spot flexing with some Tsudio Studio on my gear, so good looks on that. And what he sent me over for Soda Resort Journey, holy moly, this thing is absolutely awesome. We got a really sharp looking jewel case CD with a super sleek and slim obi strip. Some awesome illustration work, not only from the album cover, but on the back as well, accompanied by the track list, and also some really cool trinkets to go along with this thing, like a travel map and a little flyer for the Soda Resort Journey release party. I am absolutely in love with everything he sent me, and these are just some stellar pieces to add to my music collection.
And then actually last year in 2019, we were super lucky to get to play that same venue on the second Neo Gaia Fantasy Tour. And it was like the exact same lineup, and Tsudio Studio was there. And at this point I was already like a super fan. And this was right before Soda Resort Journey, his new album, had come out, and I had never heard it. And he opened his set with the first track from that album. And again, it was one of those sort of like unforgettable moments. Like I can still see it.
Tsudio Studio has taken up my headphones a lot these past couple of months, and I think he will for you as well. I highly recommend you check out his music, and I am personally so excited to see what this extremely talented producer puts out next. I also invite you to check out my Patreon page for some awesome exclusive rewards. Becoming a patron will not only unlock some really cool perks for you, but it really helps keep this channel going and gets me closer and closer to doing Pat Chennington full time. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I really cannot wait to talk to you again soon. So until next time, much love, your boy, Pat Chennington.